Hi friend, welcome back to Daily English Audio. If you are here, it means you care about growth, balance, and becoming a better version of yourself. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you can receive daily English audio and positive motivation. Today's message is simple but powerful. Self-care isn't selfish. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it is a responsibility. Let's explore why caring for yourself is one of the most important steps toward a healthy and successful life. Self-care isn't selfish, it is the foundation of mental clarity, emotional balance, and long-term strength. When you care for yourself, you show respect for your time, your energy, and your future. Point 1. Self-care is a basic human need. Self-care is not an act of selfishness, it is a basic human need that allows you to function properly in your daily life. Just like the body needs rest, food, and water, the mind and emotions also need care and attention. Ignoring your needs does not make you stronger or more responsible. In fact, it slowly drains your energy and reduces your ability to focus, think clearly, and make healthy decisions. When you practice self-care, you are not taking something away from others. You are restoring your own strength so that you can show up fully in your responsibilities, relationships, and goals. Many people confuse self-care with laziness or self-indulgence, but real self-care is intentional and purposeful. It includes rest, reflection, learning, and healthy routines that support your well-being. Without self-care, stress builds silently and affects both mental and physical health. Over time, this stress can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and loss of motivation. Practicing self-care helps you recognize your limits and respect them. It teaches you to pause before burnout happens. When you care for yourself, you increase your capacity to handle challenges calmly and thoughtfully. Self-care also builds self-awareness. It helps you understand what you need in order to function at your best. This awareness leads to better choices and healthier habits. Taking time for yourself does not mean avoiding responsibility, it means preparing yourself to handle responsibility with clarity and balance. In the long run, self-care supports productivity, emotional stability, and long-term growth. It is not selfish to protect your energy, it is necessary. When you take care of yourself, you create a stable foundation that allows every other part of your life to improve naturally. Point 2. You can't pour from an empty cup. One of the clearest reasons why self-care isn't selfish is the simple truth that you cannot give your best to others when you are completely drained. The phrase "you can't pour from an empty cup" reminds us that energy, patience, and focus are limited resources. When you ignore your own needs for long periods of time, your ability to support others slowly decreases. You may still try to help, work, or care, but the quality of your effort suffers. Self-care allows you to refill your mental and emotional energy so you can function with clarity and balance. Taking time to rest, reflect, or reset does not mean you care less about others, it means you care enough to show up as your best self. When your mind is rested, your decisions are wiser. When your emotions are balanced, your communication becomes calmer and more respectful. This benefits everyone around you. Without self-care, stress builds quietly and often shows itself through irritability, impatience, or lack of focus. These reactions are not signs of weakness, they are signals that your cup is empty. Practicing self-care helps you recognize these signals early and respond in a healthy way. It also teaches you boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are guidelines that protect your energy and time. By protecting your energy, you create consistency in your actions and relationships. Over time, this consistency builds trust and reliability. People benefit more from your presence when you are emotionally available and mentally clear. Self-care supports this clarity. It allows you to recharge without guilt and return stronger. When you understand that caring for yourself improves how you care for others, self-care becomes a responsible choice, not a selfish one. Filling your own cup is not a luxury, it is a necessary step toward balance, productivity, and meaningful contribution. Point 3. Self-care improves mental and emotional health. Self-care plays a vital role in maintaining strong mental and emotional health, which are essential for a balanced and productive life. When you regularly take time to care for your mind and emotions, you create space to process thoughts, manage stress, and restore inner calm. Daily responsibilities, expectations, and constant stimulation can overwhelm the mind if there is no pause for recovery. Self-care provides that pause. Simple practices such as quiet reflection, rest, mindful listening, or healthy routines allow the brain to reset and regain focus. This reset improves emotional regulation, making it easier to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. When emotional health is supported, feelings such as anxiety, frustration, and mental fatigue become more manageable. Self-care also increases self-awareness. It helps you notice early signs of stress or imbalance and address them before they grow into bigger problems. Ignoring mental and emotional needs does not make them disappear, it often causes them to surface in unhealthy ways, such as irritability, lack of motivation, or difficulty concentrating. By practicing self-care, you strengthen emotional resilience. Resilience allows you to face challenges without feeling overwhelmed by them. It does not mean avoiding difficulties, but approaching them with clarity and inner stability. Mental health improves when the mind is given time to rest and refocus. Emotional health improves when feelings are acknowledged rather than suppressed. Self-care supports both by creating a healthy internal environment. Over time, this leads to improved decision-making, better relationships, and a more positive outlook on life. Taking care of your mental and emotional well-being is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of responsibility and self-respect. When your inner state is balanced, everything else in your life functions more smoothly. Point 4. Self-care helps prevent burnout. Burnout is a gradual state of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion that develops when stress is ignored for too long. Self-care plays a crucial role in preventing burnout by helping the body and mind recover before reaching a breaking point. Many people push themselves constantly, believing that rest is a reward rather than a requirement. Over time, this mindset leads to fatigue, reduced motivation, and a sense of detachment from work and life. Self-care interrupts this cycle by encouraging regular moments of recovery. When you allow yourself time to rest, reflect, and recharge, you reduce the pressure that accumulates from non-stop effort. This does not mean avoiding responsibility, it means managing energy wisely. Self-care creates balance between effort and recovery, which is essential for long-term productivity. Without balance, Performance may continue for a short time, but it eventually declines. Burnout often shows up as lack of focus, emotional numbness, or feeling overwhelmed by even small tasks. These are warning signs, not failures. Practicing self-care helps you recognize these signs early and respond in healthy ways. Simple actions like setting limits, prioritizing rest, or creating space for mental clarity can significantly reduce burnout risk. Self-care also helps restore motivation by reconnecting you with purpose. When your mind is clear and your energy is stable, tasks feel more manageable and meaningful. Preventing burnout allows you to maintain consistency rather than cycling between exhaustion and recovery. In the long run, this consistency leads to better results and greater satisfaction. Self-care is not about escaping responsibility, it is about sustaining your ability to meet it. By protecting your energy and well-being, you ensure that your efforts remain effective, focused, and aligned with your long-term goals. Point 5. Self-care builds healthy boundaries. Self-care plays a key role in building healthy boundaries, which are essential for maintaining balance and self-respect in daily life. Boundaries define where your responsibilities end and where others' responsibilities begin. Without clear boundaries, people often feel overwhelmed, overcommitted, and emotionally drained. Self-care helps you recognize your limits and understand that respecting those limits is necessary, not selfish. When you practice self-care, you become more aware of how certain situations, requests, or behaviors affect your energy and well-being. This awareness allows you to make thoughtful choices instead of automatically saying yes to everything. Healthy boundaries protect your time, focus, and emotional space. They allow you to give from a place of strength rather than obligation. Setting boundaries does not mean rejecting others, it means creating conditions where relationships remain respectful and sustainable. Without boundaries, resentment can quietly grow, damaging both personal and professional connections. Self-care teaches you that it is acceptable to pause, decline, or step back when needed. This creates clarity in communication and reduces unnecessary stress. When boundaries are clear, expectations become realistic, and misunderstandings decrease. People around you learn how to interact with you in a way that respects your well-being. Boundaries also support consistency. When you protect your energy, you can show up more reliably and with greater focus. This strengthens trust over time. Self-care reinforces the idea that your needs matter alongside others' needs. By honoring your limits, you model healthy behavior and encourage balance in your environment. Building boundaries through self-care leads to greater confidence, emotional stability, and long-term personal growth. It allows you to live with intention rather than constant pressure. Point 6. Self-care increases self-respect and confidence. Self-care is closely connected to self-respect and confidence because it reflects how you value yourself and your well-being. When you consistently take care of your physical, mental, and emotional needs, you send a clear message to yourself that you matter. This message, repeated over time, strengthens self-respect. Self-respect is not about ego or superiority, it is about recognizing your worth and treating yourself with consideration. Self-care turns this recognition into action. Each time you choose rest over exhaustion, balance over overload, or reflection over constant pressure, you reinforce the belief that your needs are valid. This belief naturally builds confidence. Confidence grows when you trust yourself to make healthy decisions and honor your limits. Rather than relying on external approval, you begin to feel secure in your own choices. Self-care also reduces self-criticism. When you are rested and emotionally balanced, negative self-talk loses intensity. You become more patient with yourself and more accepting of imperfections. This inner stability allows confidence to develop in a healthy way. Self-care also supports consistency, and consistency strengthens belief in your abilities. When you maintain routines that support well-being, you show yourself that you can follow through. This reliability builds inner trust. Over time, confidence becomes less about performance and more about self-belief. Another important aspect is presence. When you care for yourself, you are more present in conversations, tasks, and challenges. This presence improves communication and decision-making, which further reinforces confidence. Self-care does not make you self-centered, it makes you self-aware. It allows you to approach life with calm assurance rather than constant doubt. By practicing self-care regularly, you create a strong internal foundation. From this foundation, self-respect and confidence. Point 7. Self-care improves relationships. Self-care has a direct and positive impact on the quality of your relationships because it influences how you show up for others. When you take care of your own mental, emotional, and physical well-being, you communicate more clearly, listen more patiently, and respond more thoughtfully. Relationships often suffer not because of lack of care, but because of exhaustion, stress, and unspoken needs. Self-care helps reduce these pressures by restoring balance within yourself. When you are rested and emotionally grounded, you are less likely to react impulsively or communicate from frustration. This creates healthier interactions and fewer misunderstandings. Self-care also encourages honesty. When you understand your own needs, you can express them respectfully rather than expecting others to guess. This clarity strengthens trust and mutual respect. Another important benefit is emotional availability. Taking care of yourself allows you to be fully present with others instead of being distracted by stress or fatigue. Presence deepens connection. Self-care also reduces dependency in relationships. When you meet your own basic needs, you do not rely on others to fill emotional gaps. This creates healthier dynamics where support is shared rather than demanded. Boundaries, which are supported by self-care, further protect relationships from burnout and resentment. When boundaries are clear, interactions become more sustainable and balanced. Over time, people around you experience a calmer, more reliable version of you. This consistency builds stronger bonds. Self-care does not distance you from others, it improves the quality of your connection with them. By taking responsibility for your own well-being, you create space for relationships to grow in a respectful and supportive way. In the long run, self-care strengthens relationships by ensuring that connection is built on balance, understanding. Point 8. Self-care supports long-term growth and balance. Self-care is essential for long-term growth because it helps create balance between effort, rest, and personal development. Growth is not only about pushing forward, it is also about knowing when to pause, reflect, and recover. Without balance, progress becomes unstable and difficult to maintain. Self-care provides the structure needed to grow steadily over time without losing direction or energy. When you regularly take care of your well-being, you protect yourself from extremes such as overworking, emotional overload, or constant pressure. This protection allows you to stay focused and consistent, which are key elements of long-term success. Balance helps you make better decisions because your mind is clear and your energy is stable. Self-care also supports adaptability. When life changes or challenges appear, a balanced person can adjust without feeling overwhelmed. This flexibility is essential for sustainable growth. Long-term progress requires patience, and self-care reinforces patience by reminding you that growth happens gradually. It encourages realistic expectations and reduces frustration when results take time. Another important aspect is alignment. Self-care helps you stay connected to your values and priorities. When you are balanced, you are less likely to chase goals that drain you or ignore signs of exhaustion. Instead, you choose paths that support both achievement and well-being. Over time, this alignment creates a sense of stability and purpose. Growth supported by self-care feels steady rather than chaotic. It allows you to improve while maintaining mental and emotional health. In the long run, balance becomes a strength that supports resilience, clarity, and meaningful progress. Self-care is not a break from growth, it is what makes growth possible over time. Point 9. Self-care is a form of self-responsibility. Self-care is not just a personal preference, it is a form of self-responsibility that reflects how seriously you take your role in your own life. Being responsible does not only mean meeting external duties such as work or family obligations, but also managing your own well-being so you can function effectively. When you practice self-care, you acknowledge that your physical, mental, and emotional health directly affect your actions, decisions, and impact on others. Ignoring self-care often leads to avoidable stress, reduced performance, and emotional imbalance, which can affect both personal and professional life. Self-responsibility means recognizing these consequences and choosing healthier patterns. Self-care encourages proactive behavior rather than reactive behavior. Instead of waiting until exhaustion or stress forces a pause, you intentionally create space for recovery and balance. This proactive approach supports stability and long-term effectiveness. Self-care also involves accountability. It requires honesty about your limits, habits, and needs. By taking responsibility for these areas, you reduce dependence on external circumstances to feel balanced or motivated. Another important aspect is consistency. Responsible self-care is not occasional, it is a regular practice that supports sustainable functioning. When you care for yourself consistently, you reduce the risk of burnout, poor judgment, and emotional fatigue. This makes you more reliable and focused over time. Self-care also reflects maturity. It shows an understanding that well-being is not automatic, it must be maintained. Taking responsibility for yourself sets a strong foundation for personal growth and resilience. It allows you to face challenges with clarity rather than overwhelm. In this way, self-care becomes an essential part of living intentionally, responsibly, and with long-term awareness. Point 10. Self-care helps you live with purpose and clarity. Self-care helps you live with purpose and clarity by creating the mental and emotional space needed to understand what truly matters to you. In a busy and demanding world, it is easy to move through life on autopilot, reacting to expectations instead of acting with intention. Self-care slows this process down. It allows you to reflect, evaluate, and realign your actions with your values. When your mind is clear and your energy is stable, you can think more deeply about your goals and direction. Purpose becomes easier to define when distractions and constant stress are reduced. Self-care supports clarity by reducing mental noise. When you are well-rested and emotionally balanced, decisions feel less confusing and more grounded. This clarity improves focus and helps you prioritize what deserves your time and attention. Living with purpose does not mean having all the answers, it means moving forward with awareness and intention. Self-care strengthens this awareness. It helps you notice when something no longer serves you and gives you the confidence to adjust your path. Purposeful living also requires presence. Self-care brings you into the present moment, allowing you to fully engage with your experiences rather than rushing through them. Over time, this presence creates a deeper sense of fulfillment. You begin to feel more connected to your actions and outcomes. Self-care does not remove challenges, but it helps you approach them with calm direction rather than confusion. By supporting clarity, balance, and intentional decision-making, self-care becomes a foundation for a life guided by purpose instead of pressure. Point 11. Self-care strengthens discipline and consistency. Self-care strengthens discipline and consistency by teaching you how to manage your energy rather than relying only on motivation. Many people believe discipline means pushing through exhaustion, but true discipline includes knowing when to rest so you can continue effectively. Self-care helps you create routines that support stability instead of burnout. When your basic needs are met, such as rest, mental clarity, and emotional balance, it becomes easier to stay consistent with your goals. Consistency is not built through intensity alone, it is built through sustainable habits. Self-care supports these habits by creating a strong foundation for daily effort. When you take care of yourself, you reduce internal resistance. Tasks feel less overwhelming, and follow-through becomes more natural. This strengthens self-trust because you see yourself showing up again and again in a balanced way. Discipline supported by self-care is flexible, not rigid. It allows adjustment without guilt and progress without self-punishment. Another important aspect is recovery. Consistency requires recovery to remain effective over time. Self-care ensures that recovery is intentional, not forced by exhaustion. This makes your progress smoother and more reliable. Over time, discipline becomes less about forcing action and more about maintaining alignment between effort and well-being. Self-care also reduces procrastination by lowering mental fatigue and emotional pressure. When your mind is clear, starting tasks feels easier. By supporting consistency and healthy discipline, self-care helps you move forward steadily instead of stopping and restarting. It turns progress into a long-term process rather than a short burst of effort. Point 12. Self-care creates inner peace and emotional stability. Self-care creates inner peace and emotional stability by helping you develop a calm and balanced relationship with yourself. In daily life, external pressures, expectations, and constant noise can disturb emotional balance and create internal tension. Self-care acts as a grounding practice that brings you back to a steady emotional state. When you regularly take time to rest, reflect, and reset, your nervous system has the opportunity to relax. This relaxation reduces emotional reactivity and allows you to respond to situations with greater calm and awareness. Emotional stability does not mean the absence of challenges or feelings, it means the ability to experience emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Self-care supports this ability by encouraging emotional awareness and acceptance. When you acknowledge your feelings instead of suppressing them, they lose intensity and become easier to manage. Inner peace grows when you stop constantly fighting yourself or your circumstances. Self-care teaches you to slow down and listen to what your mind and body need. This listening builds trust within yourself. Over time, emotional patterns become more predictable and manageable. Stressful situations no longer feel as chaotic because you have created internal space for clarity. Self-care also helps reduce emotional exhaustion, which often leads to irritability or mental fatigue. With emotional stability, your thoughts become clearer and your reactions more intentional. This stability improves overall well-being and strengthens resilience. Inner peace supported by self-care allows you to move through life with greater ease and confidence. It helps you remain centered even when external conditions are uncertain. By practicing self-care consistently, you create a calm inner foundation that supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and long-term well-being. Point 13. Self-care boosts creativity and productivity. Self-care boosts creativity and productivity by allowing your mind the space it needs to think clearly, generate ideas, and work efficiently. Creativity does not thrive under constant pressure or exhaustion, it needs mental freedom and emotional balance. When you are overwhelmed or mentally tired, your thinking becomes rigid and repetitive. Self-care helps break this cycle by restoring focus and mental flexibility. Simple practices such as rest, reflection, or stepping away from constant demands allow your brain to reset. This reset improves problem solving and opens the door to new perspectives. Productivity also improves when self-care is part of your routine. Working longer hours does not always lead to better results, working with clarity does. Self-care supports clarity by reducing mental fatigue and stress. When your energy is balanced, tasks feel more manageable and less draining. This leads to higher quality work completed in less time. Self-care also improves concentration. When your mind is rested, distractions lose their power, and you can stay focused for longer periods. Creativity benefits from this focus because ideas need attention to develop. Another important aspect is motivation. Self-care prevents the loss of motivation that often comes from burnout. When you feel mentally supported, you are more likely to approach tasks with curiosity instead of pressure. Over time, this creates a healthier relationship with work and goals. Productivity driven by self-care is sustainable, not forced. It allows consistent progress without emotional exhaustion. By caring for your well-being, you create an internal environment where creativity and productivity can grow naturally and effectively. Point 14. Self-care helps you maintain long-term motivation. Self-care helps you maintain long-term motivation by protecting your energy, focus, and emotional drive over time. Motivation is not something that stays constant, it rises and falls depending on mental and physical condition. When people rely only on pressure or discipline without self-care, motivation often fades quickly. Self-care supports motivation by preventing exhaustion and emotional overload. When your basic needs are met, such as rest, clarity, and emotional balance, your motivation becomes more stable and reliable. Instead of forcing yourself to move forward, you feel naturally inclined to take action. Self-care also helps reconnect you with your reasons for starting. When stress is reduced, it becomes easier to remember why your goals matter. This connection strengthens internal motivation rather than external pressure. Another important factor is enjoyment. Motivation grows when effort feels meaningful rather than draining. Self-care allows you to experience progress without constant struggle. It reminds you that growth does not have to come from suffering. By creating space for recovery, you prevent frustration from building up. Frustration is one of the main reasons motivation disappears. Self-care also supports patience, which is essential for long-term goals. When you care for yourself, you accept that progress takes time and that rest is part of the process. This mindset keeps motivation alive during slow periods. Over time, motivation supported by self-care becomes more consistent and resilient. It does not depend on mood alone, it is supported by balance and self-awareness. By practicing self-care regularly, you protect your motivation and allow it to grow steadily instead of burning out quickly. Point 15. Self-care helps you build a sustainable and balanced life. Self-care helps you build a sustainable and balanced life by creating harmony between ambition, responsibility, and well-being. Many people focus only on results, forgetting that life is a long journey, not a short race. Without balance, even success can feel empty or exhausting. Self-care brings sustainability into your daily life by ensuring that progress does not come at the cost of health or inner peace. When you consistently care for yourself, you create routines that support both growth and recovery. This balance allows you to maintain effort without constant pressure. A sustainable life is one where energy is managed wisely, not spent all at once. Self-care teaches you to pace yourself, recognize limits, and respect natural cycles of effort and rest. This awareness reduces stress and increases long-term satisfaction. Balance also improves decision-making. When you are calm and clear-minded, you are less likely to make choices based on fear, urgency, or comparison. Instead, you choose what aligns with your values and long-term goals. Self-care supports emotional stability, which helps you navigate challenges without losing direction. Over time, this stability builds resilience and confidence. A balanced life does not mean everything is equal at all times, it means nothing is constantly neglected. Self-care ensures that your physical health, mental clarity, and emotional well-being all receive attention. This creates a strong foundation for personal and professional life. When life is built on self-care, progress feels steady and meaningful rather than rushed or overwhelming. By prioritizing balance through self-care, you create a life that can grow, adapt, and remain fulfilling over the long term. In conclusion, self-care is not a luxury, an excuse, or a sign of weakness. It is a necessary foundation for a healthy, balanced, and meaningful life. Throughout this video, we explored how self-care supports mental clarity, emotional stability, strong relationships, motivation, discipline, and long-term growth. When you take care of yourself, you are not taking anything away from others, you are strengthening your ability to show up fully in every area of life. Real progress does not come from constant pressure, but from balance and awareness. Self-care helps you live with purpose instead of burnout, with clarity instead of confusion, and with intention instead of exhaustion. As you move forward, remember that caring for yourself is an act of responsibility and self-respect. If this video helped you or gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Thank you for listening, and remember, when you care for yourself, you build a life that can truly last.